Buckeyes. Nobody even knows what the hell a Buckeye is.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Doomcast. My name is Charlie McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com. My co-host is Doug Owen. He's the founder of BlacklistedNews.com. BlacklistedNews.com. This is Doomcast number 74. Thank you very much for tuning in on this Friday, 9th day of January, 2015. And Doug's fired up. I'm fairly fired up, and those of you listening to the stream before the program, Doug is fired up. He's ready
fired
to rock
up.
and roll. I fired up.
Started a fire today in Texas in an actual fireplace. So pretty excited about that.
Was it cold?
Yeah, it's cold. It's real cold.
How cold? Tell me the cold. How cold?
I mean, probably not cold to people from Montana, but 32 degrees. It'll probably get down in the 20s tonight.
Yeah, sounds like freezing to me.
It's freezing. Got all the plants in the garage, doing that whole thing. So we stopped at here in Texas. I mean, if you live out in the forest and you have access, you can get wood. But I paid some guy a very probably overpriced amount for some good old Texas oak. And we had a chimney sweeper come by the house. My wife is like, we need a chimney sweep.
Texas oak. Texas is so, in general, this is speaking from the other states of the Union. They're so on themselves, right? Stuck on themselves.
Why?
Because everything is. You put a Texas in front of it. Like suddenly that just makes your shit smell like roses. It's Texas shit. It's the best smelling shit on the planet, y'all.
I don't know.
It's Texas oak.
Yeah.
It's harder than that Alabama oak.
It might be. I don't know. There's over
Longhorn.
There's Texas. Actually over 500. No, don't let me exaggerate. Over 100 different native species of oak here in Texas. But you're right. There is the too proud of Texas guy, which
oh my God,
I am not. I'm not a statist at all.
I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying in general. You probably kind of are too, because you that's your home state. I'm not saying you should be proud of your home state, but
Why? Why would I be? I mean, what does it mean? I mean, we because we stole it from the Mexicans. We didn't want to pay them, and we fought them in the Alamo, and we lost, but we still remember that. And we wear
you have the
raccoon hats,
being your own republic before you became a state. So much so that we have lots of amusement parks called Six Flags Over Texas. Can you name the Six Flags Over Texas? If you're a good Texan, you can do that. You know which Six Flags were over Texas. Wait a minute. The amusement park Six Flags, which is in just about every state of the union?
Yes.
Okay. It originated in Texas. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, Six Flags Over Texas. There was actually Six Flags that were over Texas, and then they just took the Six Flags brand, because you can't just say Six Flags Over Texas in New Jersey, because that would, people would be, they would think that we're pretentious. And, why would you want to go to a Texas amusement park? But that was the whole idea, was that the amusement park was named. You can go to Wikipedia and find out the whole story. Right now. If you really care out there.
What are Six Flags Over Texas? Let's see if we know. Six Flags Over Texas, the slogan used to describe the 6 countries that have had sovereignty over some or all of the current territory of the United States, U.S. state of Texas: Spain, France, Mexico, the Republic of Texas, and the Confederate States of America. Oh man,
you missed the opportunity. I thought you were going to quiz me to see if I was a good Texan, but
I know you know it. You're Texan, so you probably pump this stuff up before breakfast in the morning.
Yeah. So what's the state bird there in Montana? Do you know?
Yeah, it's a western meadowlark.
What's the state flower?
Prickly pear.
See, you know your state, just like any Texan would know their state.
Yeah, you don't hear me say the Montana air, the big sky.
Well, Montana, why not? Why not say that?
I don't know.
What's wrong with that? It's just descriptive.
Because I'm not a Texas statist.
Just, there's a lot of types of wood out there. I'm just, for the people that will really want to know, is that Texas pecan or is that Wisconsin pecan? I don't know. Could be. I don't know what's better.
Okay. All right. Well, I've been in the lumber business for 22 years, and I've never heard of Texas oak.
Well, it's live oak, right? That's what it would actually be, a live oak.
It's a red oak or it's a white oak is my estimation. Probably a red oak.
No.
All right.
I don't know. It could be a red oak. I mean, I have red oaks. I have 3 of them, but it's better to have a live oak because it's an evergreen, so it doesn't, shed like mine do. So I'm out there blowing the leaves and spending hours. I mean, it's free mulch. Don't get me wrong, but kind of sucks.
I hear you, man.
Trees for all of our amateur arborist listeners out there. They probably are shaking their fists. These guys don't know anything about trees.
Wait a minute. I want to hear about your evergreen oak tree because that's something I've never heard of.
Really?
Yeah.
That's why I'm descriptive. A Texas live oak. Okay, so let's Google Texas live oak.
They're a deciduous tree. They have leaves.
Yes, they do.
And leaves shed. There's no permanent leaf.
Quercus fusiformis is commonly known as the Texas live oak, escarpment live oak, plateau live oak, or plateau oak. It is an evergreen or nearly evergreen tree, according to Wikipedia. So, voila. Okay. Well, so they're nice. I mean, that's why those are really popular. In Texas, that's what makes your property have value. If you have live oaks on your property, that makes it worth a lot more. At least in Central Texas. I mean, I'm sure in other areas there's lakefront property, water frontage, things like that. But beautiful, old, multi-hundred-year-old oak trees that are just cover your whole lawn, your whole house. It's a big deal. It's a big deal because you need shade. Shade is a big deal in Texas. So
from that Texas sun,
from that hot Texas sun, beats down your brow, and then you have a cold Dutch Budweiser.
You have your Texas Gillies beer.
There you go, and then yeah. You watch a tumbleweed go by, and you spit into a spittoon.
That's right, spittoon.
So, have you been watching the show? Have you been watching the whole thing playing out with
I watched
Charlie Hebdo. No, you say it. You say it.
Charlie Lebop.
Charlie
Hebdo. I watched it live today. I watched live feed of Sky News when they stormed the castle where the 2 brothers were held up, and then flashbanged the kosher deli where the
Why did you go to a kosher deli?
Interesting. Kosher deli. And apparently the 2 suspects, the 2 terrorists, quote terrorists, that were in the deli, it was a woman and a guy. And the last I heard, Doug Owen, while this feed was running live here, was the lady, the female, slipped through the dragnet and is still on the loose. But her
and you're talking about the girlfriend, right? Of the black guy.
The black guy's girlfriend, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's dead. The 2 brothers are dead. Amazing. I turned on the Sky News. They're 6-8 hours ahead of us. I think they're 6 or 7 hours ahead of us. But this morning they had it was a flashback to me was Boston, the Boston bombing. Because they have Paris, and I've been to Paris. It's huge. I mean, it's very not only populous, but it's really spread out.
Right.
And they have basically the city on lockdown. Just like they did Boston, but this is even to a bigger, more grandiose scale. And I'm reading Sky News while this live feed's going on, and there is 1,500 police involved in this 4-person event, this 4-person terrorist event. And just to put that into perspective, that is like 3 battalions of military, of army soldiers. 1,500 troops are out there to corner off and go after these guys. And they got them.
Yeah, I mean, the fanfare, I was watching some of the live feeds and keeping up with it on the Daily Mail, which, a tabloid's the best way to go when you start looking at the story, at least trying to keep up with facts, because they are a tabloid, so they don't really have to censor themselves. They're not nearly as controlled as maybe other media outlets like France 24, which is, I watched a lot of that on the Sling Box today, watching some of their live feeds and just trying to, keep up with the story, seeing where it goes and how it, takes shape, how the narrative, I mean, just yesterday, we didn't have a lot of information, but this, 48-hour manhunt and very, very wild story and show.
And I quizzed you a little bit yesterday via Skype about your thoughts on it, and I talked. I was talking to Eric Lovely last night about it on the Rinse program, and I don't even know. I don't even know how to take this. I mean, there's so many different angles that you. Sorry about that.
Where are you going? You're sailing the seas.
Yeah, I'm sailing through my other computer went off. My little Beats pill here just exploded. But give me your take on it, Doug. I mean, what do you think we're looking at here? Was this genuine? Obviously, it's
let's back up. Let's kind of paint the picture here and kind of look at it out. So you have France. France is in a political turmoil. You have Francis Holland, who has basically indebted the country. He's a rich socialist, and they are on I wouldn't say a good footing. They are keeping the EU, which right now, to just sidebar, Greece is trying to escape, and basically France and Germany are the only thing holding the EU together. And there's been quite a row between the U.S. and Israel and France over Russia. As you know, the French military-industrial complex was building ships and are still building ships that are supposed to go to Russia. And
NATO's telling them, no, don't do it.
Right. I mean, there's international pressure. I don't think that there's any... They basically want all of the sanctions against Russia dropped because it's one of their lifelines. And, I think that a lot of these European countries and their political elite are looking at the IMF. They're looking at Russia. They're looking at the U.S. and what's happening in the Ukraine and trying to, people get on the fence. They want to go with the winner and trying to figure out who's going to be the winner when, $100 trillion in derivatives blows up or World War III breaks out. It's kind of iffy. You kind of you think, well, the U.S. has the printing presses and right now they're dominant, but how long will that dominance last? Can the IMF institute austerity and use its systems to be able to basically keep the elite in power? Can you fend off the riots? Can you stem some of the social anxieties that will turn into revolutions? So I think that that's a really interesting dynamic. And with things like I think the rise of the right in Europe, a lot of nationalism, especially in France and Italy and other nations, the fact that 60% of the people think that there is a huge problem with Islamification and integration. So we have that kind of coming to a head. So there's already a lot of political tension. You have the French people that they've never really supported the U.S. They didn't support us in 2003. Remember us pouring out all of the wine and the freedom fries and all that crap.
Oh, yeah.
So France they haven't been on board. We just don't know if we can trust them. So sometimes, you have to wake people up to what they need to, get on board with and to remind them of who's their friends and who's going to protect them. And so, I think that's an interesting dynamic. I mean, this definitely sends a message. So just the day after this attack, the aircraft carrier was sent to a French aircraft to join the fight, to fight ISIS. So that's an interesting. I mean, some of the timing in all of this and the political strife is interesting.
It actually it was sent the day of. I mean, it was that was going to happen regardless of these attacks. But yeah, they were definitely coming on board.
Right, and don't get me wrong, correlation doesn't mean causation. Just because that doesn't necessarily mean anything. They were already on board and going, I think at least half-heartedly into this coalition of the unwilling and those being drugged by the EU and the US into fighting ISIS. But they have a little empire, or what would you call it? recolonization project going on in Africa alongside the U.S. right now too, and fighting Ebola and all that stuff. So they've got a lot of ties and a lot of geopolitical things outside of the country going on that is a hedge.
And your opinion is, it is shared. I mean, that I've heard that from a couple different people. Eric last night, in fact, was drawing the French are not doing what they're supposed to do according to the West, because they wanted to get rid of these sanctions against Russia because it's so devastating to their economy, and their economy's in horrific shape. I mean, for being a powerhouse of Europe, they're sitting at 11% by the official statistics, 11%, nearly 11% unemployment. What I found to be interesting was the day of the attack, the day after the attack, the head of NATO came out and was acting almost as an arbitrator between Russia, France, and the West, basically trying to extend an olive branch because of what happened in France to Russia to join forces and hold hands and fight terrorism together. That being Russia and NATO. So I certainly saw a political goal trying to be achieved out of this immediately after this attack with Russia and NATO. So so is it letting no good crisis go to waste, or is it another example of we're going to have a not really that big deal event as far as number of people involved, yet we're going to blow it up into just like the London bombing or 9/11. And there people are already calling it, this is France's 9/11. Just to bring him on board and solidify.
Yeah, I mean, people just lack creativity, and they're trying to scare them. I mean, Obama, I don't know if you saw his threats, and this is interesting. I mean, his response to this, he said, these kind of attacks can happen anywhere in the world. That's why we have to continue to work with our partners, just to paraphrase some of the things he said. But it seemed as if this was either a threat, saying these kind of things can happen anywhere in the world, boys. Just remember. Yeah, you never know. Today it could be a satirical newspaper, or the next day it could be, who knows? It could be a plane that's blown up over Ukraine that Francis Holland's riding in. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and the fact that everybody capitalizes and tries to make.
Well, let's face it; it's the beginning of the new year. We have to start 2015 off with fear. We got to revitalize and re-energize and reiterate the fact that that the world is a terrifying, horrible place, and we have to have this coalition of nations fighting the world, fighting against this terrorist threat that's around every corner. And so I mean,
well, it's starting to be. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, regardless of what ultimately it happened here. I mean, we do have crazy people that are, getting more and more aggravated. The worse the economic situation becomes in these countries, the more people are going to look to radical ideas, radical nationalism. Not to bang any drums, but it could be any group of people, even Christians, Muslims, that become radicalized because they see how horrible the state is treating them, or at least their perception of the state is treating them. And so, when things are good, man, the Doomcast ratings are bad. When things are bad, Doomcast ratings are good. It's not that I want bad things to happen because people end up listening to the shows more often. It's just that when things are happening like that, I mean, that's when the media is in full gear, getting the best ratings possible. When you have a car chase in California,
I bet you that's how these elite, that allow these attacks to happen, or. See,
I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think that the elite do everything, and it's like some guy in a smoky room that decides, okay, guys, the people aren't falling for it. We got to control their minds again, man, because it's just.
Well, how does it happen then? I mean, how does?
It happens like this.
I'm talking about the lizard Illuminati is real. Crawling up from under the ground. Come to get you. Come to take you. Come to get you. It's hard to ride. The lizard These Illuminati, they're coming to control your mind.
Exactly.
And then stuff like this.
Bingo.
Yeah, but give it to me. Come on.
Illuminati coming in your face.
In your face. Yeah.
Illuminati.
Yeah. So that's how it happens, man. The Illuminati, the Queen of England, gets together and they figure out what's the best way to screw with all of you out there and to screw with the American public and to screw with the world. And they decide to do these things on secret dates when they feel that it's appropriate and it's the stars are aligned for whatever blood sacrifice ritual they need. I mean,
November 5th.
Welcome to the human race.
So, yeah, I mean, so anyway, I mean, a lot of those kind of people come out whenever these events happen. And have you seen the video, the contested video, the biggest thing that's happening on the internet now that is being completely censored, by the way, by the mainstream media? All of the imagery, almost everything that, even the signs, even the pictures of Muhammad, which I went out of my way to put up several pictures of Muhammad this week just to do it, because I feel that the mainstream media won't, and somebody has to. We have to share the burden. We shouldn't just, this is the thing that one of many things that's wrong with this story. These guys had 24-hour surveillance. They had a police officer that's been watching them. This is a high-profile target. They have been, what was it, 2011 when the first threat started happening because of this, alleged picture of Muhammad, which it brings up even more questions. What the hell was happening? Why? CNBC reported that the artist there, the whole team, only meets at the central office one time a week. Okay, so maybe just was lucky. They just figured it out. They staked it, or they had some kind of insider knowledge. You start wondering about, how this whole story played out. And I think that the video of the police officer being shot by the AK-47 by the gun-wielding terrorist and the lack of blood. Have you seen this thing?
Yes, very, very much. I caught it on Live Leak, before they blobbed out the image of the cop.
So my question is this cop really dead? Because he could have shot into the ground. He could have shot into, the sidewalk just to scare this guy. He's unarmed. These guys don't have any guns. And maybe we're going to see, at least the issue of gun control being revisited as producer Craig has predicted in France, which, I think people are always going to revisit the gun control issue and saying, look, these people could have protected themselves. They could have, rather than just being assassinated, if one out of how many people there, 11, 12 people at the building, if one of them
killed.
I mean,
they
might have killed one, but not all of them.
10 employees and 2 cops, and I watched that video over and over and over again, and tried to, and I had the same thought that you did. A couple things that struck me was the insane bravery of the photographer, of the cameraman, because it's obviously an iPhone or some cell phone that somebody's recording what's going on down there, and it opens up with them shooting the cop who goes to the sidewalk, doubles over, goes to the sidewalk, and is laid out there. And then they run toward him, and he puts one in his head, it looks like, anyway. And I stopped it. I mean, I went through frame by frame just to try to gauge, the angle of the barrel and the distance from his head.
Yeah.
And then, you saw the ricochet off the sidewalk type of thing. And I don't know. Who knows? I mean, you're
YouTube
not going to have
forensics
blood.
does not help. Yeah, I did the same exact thing. And I think a lot of people have. And so there's those people out there that think it's all a hoax and that, everything's a hoax.
The thing that the fishiest thing about that video to me, Doug Owen, is the cameraman, because that is sitting there recording all this, hand out over the windowsill, watching it, and you could tell by the film or the video that he's not that far away. I'm thinking second, maybe third floor, overlooking this action, and the bravery of this guy to hang out there while these guys are running around shooting off AK-47s. to me, that in and of itself seems like the least probable of any of the events in the video. Yeah. I just don't think most people are going to have.
I disagree completely. I think that I've seen so many crazy videos where people are, riding in cars and, racing and, people are, at fights, that have broken out at parties. And they're like, man, they got guys fighting them right there 2 feet from them, could punch them in their face, people fighting with guns.
And most of them are in scenarios, though, that are like you're describing. Kids out and ramming down the street in a car, racing or whatever,
drinking
at a party. Yeah, they're people at a party.
I don't know, man. I mean, something that's significant. I would be, if I was able to, I'd be compelled. And if it was down, a few hundred yards away from me, and I could, get a decent phone.
This wasn't a few hundred yards away.
We could have had it zoomed in. I mean, we can't tell. You don't know how far it was. That's the whole point. We don't know. I mean, he could have.
Yeah, I mean, there's part of that video where it shows the windowsill where he's at, and you kind of get some perspective on how far that is from the ground, and the fact that the windowsill is in perfect focus as at the same time as the shooters makes me think that that it wasn't a massive magnification, plus the fact that it wasn't all jittery like he was on super magnification.
So you just think it was too good
it was
to
too
necessarily.
Good. And it was somebody who's. This isn't a guy at a party. This is a going to work, time of the day, and it's in it's in a work environment, and this person's either at work or at his home, and there's people running around shooting off AK-47s, shooting people. So I think the natural instinct for most people is to be huddled up on the floor.
No, I get you. You just think that if anything, that's what looks scripted. I don't want to cut you off or anything. It's just, I get your point. Yeah. I mean, it looked okay. I didn't think it looked that great. So I don't know. I could look at it again. Maybe I should, because it seemed to me that this was somebody in the third floor apartment, a good 50 to 100 yards away from, just because of the graininess. It didn't look good. I mean, my Samsung will do a better job. I don't know.
Go to Live Leak and look at it again. Plus, not only that, you can see the side. I mean, there's a part of it where you can see that his building is on the street where the shooting is occurring. There's no way it's 50 or 100 yards away. I mean, he'd have to be on the 10th floor to be that kind of distance away. And if his apartment building or office building is on that street, you can just use common sense. He's looking down a window onto a street, just overlooking the street in a neighborhood or a street in a business area. So I don't think he's all that far away.
Yeah, maybe not. I mean, if it's dark, if you're in a room that doesn't have a light, that guy out there can't see you, period. So I don't know. I mean, if there was a guy outside shooting somebody with an AK-47 and I thought for just a moment that he wouldn't see me, I would do it. I would try to get it. But, I don't know. I mean, yeah. It could be a professional. I mean, that's just like with the whole Canadian thing. I don't want to digress, but when we saw that recent shooting that has brought about the Patriot Act 2.0 for the Canadian people, I was like, wow, the most suspicious, fishy thing about this is the video and how it has been put out there. And I don't know. I mean, in a world where YouTube becomes a clearinghouse, maybe that's to be expected, but. We don't usually get great video. And usually, I mean, I can't believe that there hasn't been a cease and desist, take these down, issued by the government, because it could be potentially evidence. And so, I think it's for mass consumption. Otherwise, we've seen Google and YouTube, they will take stuff immediately off in concert. They're working together actually now to be able to take the terrorist material, other whatever they deem to be inappropriate for their users. And, how subjective is that? You out there. I mean, one of the other meta angles of this is that you shouldn't criticize Islam. But, the Charlie Hebdo or Charlie Hebdo newspaper fired one of their artists for anti-Semitism. So, there's a lot of interesting things that have happened here. But some of the other anomalies, because I don't want to belabor it, because it's really not a huge, big story other than the fact that they had to have inside knowledge. Because as they told Le Monde, a French newspaper, they only have editorial cartoonist meetings once a week. Stephen Charbonnet, who has had a police officer, two police officers with them constantly since
2011 firebombing.
Yeah. I mean, past several years. I mean, they have these people protecting them. There were heavily armed police in the vicinity all over Paris, and basically, nobody was there to immediately respond. Now, the after response or over response, which we were all watching live today, was pretty horrific. But it's I don't know how much of it I even really buy into, besides the fact that some of the other story narratives don't make sense, like the passports. Okay, if you're planning on escaping, rather than just going out in a blaze of glory, and you take hostages and you try to escape, why would you leave your passport behind? I mean, leaving your passport in the car, I get that. Maybe, it's uncomfortable and who cares? And maybe you want people to know who you are. So you can be recognized as the martyr.
But if your goal is to escape, you're 100% right.
That's a contradiction in logic. And I'm not saying that, that means anything either, but it's notable. It's
well, and the other, to that point, if you believe the narrative that's put out there, the video that's put out, the video evidence that's been streaming for 2 days. In fact, one of the individuals who worked at the printing facility where they finally killed them shook their hand this morning, our time this morning, yesterday in France, because he thought they were actually police. And he let them into the building. I don't know if you saw that part. He thought they were so heavily armed and in their bulletproof vests and in their fatigues. So he thought they were cops, and so he shook one of their hands.
Well, yeah, because in France, only the police have guns. They have one of the strictest gun control laws in Europe.
In Europe, yeah, and so with that kind of preparation and planning that these guys have to leave their passports behind. I mean, that absolutely makes
maybe
no
one
sense
of them,
whatsoever.
but not all of them. And the black guy. Okay, this is interesting. I was just digging up, all these little anomalies. He actually met with Nicolas Sarkozy in 2009, and from the French newspaper. I got this from Gringy, but it's called the Juliet. Anyway, I can't read French, but a picture of this dude hugging up on Sarkozy. And just one of the many things, it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, it's like, what was it? Zahari. He had ate dinner with Hillary Clinton at the State Department at a meeting to reach out to Muslims. So you're like, really? This guy? It's like so many other things. Bin Laden, okay, really? His father had an oil company called Arbusto and actually did business with the Bushes. How ironic, it doesn't mean anything, but it means everything when you start looking at these stories. So
it's just the coincidence factor. I mean, what are the odds, right?
What are the odds?
What are the odds that these terrorists, right, these lunatics, have these kind of connections?
Yeah.
It goes back to what you were teasing about a minute ago, which is I'm saying these things are planned and they're allowed to happen, or they're inspired to happen by the powers that be. I mean, this is just proof of that.
Well, I think that this is the difference. I guess I think these are all messages from competing groups that are trying their best to maintain power in a very 21st century world. I don't think of it at all like, JP Morgan Chase and the Rockefellers and these power barons working with the president to run the printing presses. I think that it's completely different today because you live in a globalized society where you have to share power. So that the only difference is that I think that these things are more they're messages, and they are tooled not to even necessarily. I mean, it's a bonus that it scares the people and they can sell more weapons and fear. I mean, because that's what government does. They sell protection and they sell fear. They give you enough fear and then they sell you on protecting you. always, making sure that they're relevant. But, I mean, all of these things kind of, either there are people that make it happen I would say that there's some kind of consensus on certain things, especially if there's a lot of messaging, that there is, some kind of, grand plan. But I don't think that, international bankers get to, find out who's getting whacked in France today. They don't get a newsletter. Yeah, we all plan to whack these Muslims, and we're going to rile them up, and we're going to get MOSSAD to work there. Interestingly enough.
Well, wait a minute. But I mean, somebody's got to be. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody that goes to the Bilderberg meeting is in on every event that happens.
Right.
But I mean, it seems like every time that there's a calming period where things are becoming more normalized, and ratings of Doomcast are down because things seem more normal. Right. Yeah. It seems that there is an event, and in a lot of cases here, we find out that it's completely staged. It's the FBI setting up a bunch of patsies and then, knocking it down and talking about how,
No. See, I agree with all of that. Absolutely. Yeah. I'm all on board with groups are doing this. The FBI needing to maintain budgets, going out there and finding people and setting them up and patsy saying, look at what we did.
Apparatus,
but I don't think that
CIA, Mossad working on behalf of elite.
No, I don't think that it works like that at all. I think it actually works. How does it work? Because if it doesn't work, if there's a structure, if there's a corporate structure that's controlling this, then it's happenstance, right? No. See, you think of it like a pyramid, right? Like there's an elite in a pyramid that are at the top, and then it goes up kind of like the military or something, right? Is that what you're saying? Like you think that people like from upper positions like meet and have people at lower positions do things on behalf of people above them, right?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so like flip that thing upside down.
Okay, my pyramid's inverted.
Okay, so we're at the bottom, right? Okay. And as we keep going down, there's more and more people that have less and less power. And so there's people that are absolutely subjugated and enslaved at the bottom. But the people at the top, there are more and more of those people that have distributed power. So what ends up happening is you kind of have this thing that it's actually just cut the capstone off of it, right? Like I think, perfect example, like 10,000 years ago, okay, you had the pyramid, okay? You had people, one person, two people, a royal family, a dynasty that controlled millions of people, right? And they made the decisions from the very top. I think now there are people that only work for their own self-interest to a certain extent, and they do things on their own behalf. So I think the FBI puts patsies together, creates terror, and they find the low IQ people to, I mean, we've talked about some of the recent stories, like the guy that they found the retarded guy they tattooed him and they got him to basically commit a few felonies, and they created this dragnet and became a big story. ProPublica broke it about how, the ATF and the FBI are framing patsies. I don't think that they're doing that because, Barack Obama has a scandal or, he's been smoking crack with Larry Sinclair. I think they do that because it serves them and they get more power and they have to be able to exist and continue to have those budgets. They have to, have people. It's like the air marshals. They have to sacrifice people to this machine that they have created, that they are work for. So I think it's more self-interested. Just like Chevron, they have a very vested interest in the Ukraine. France, not so much. So they got more power, and they, not just France. I mean, we're talking about, the Dutch, Britain. I mean, they are themselves torn by who they should align themselves with. And that's what's happening. We have a redistribution of power. We don't have dynasties anymore. Although, if you look at Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush possibly being the only two choices for the 2016 election, you know, you might be able to make a better argument for it. But you have to kowtow to people that you didn't have to kowtow to. You have to work with China. You have to work with all these countries. So that's what the new world order is.
I understand your argument, and I understand, but
okay, perfect. I got a question. What's new about the new world order, and why is it different than the old world order?
I don't know. I'm not making an argument for new versus old. I'm trying to say that there is more structure here than just the FBI looking to amass more power for itself. Because if that's the case, then it's just so coincidentally coordinated that we have intelligence agencies around the planet that are amassing more power because of the war on terror, or we have more financial interests around the planet at the same time amassing more power and control over their respective
you're making
nations.
my point for me.
What?
Okay, if I control Mossad, okay, just put me in there. I'm the director of Mossad. I hold power, okay? People want power, and they want to use power over other people, and it doesn't always go directly down. Sometimes you don't like people that are above you, and you want to let them know that you've got stuff on them. Look at Hoover. I mean, he blackmailed and recorded everybody, not just the poor people, not just MLK. He recorded all the people above him, below him, for his own protection. I mean, you got to think about a thieves' den here, and the thieves' dens can only go so far because at some point, that's where you break alignment because you're involved in your own self-interest.
No, I get that,
and so now I just think that there's a lot more of that. Okay, so
they're squabbling. I do believe there's an elite class that are they're coming together secretly, and it isn't even a secret anymore. They do this annually, and they establish the agenda for the planet for the next year coming up. And then I think there's functionaries under all of these people. And is there infighting inside of organizations to attain more power? Sure, why not? Yeah, of course, because people are people. Even plebe functionaries have aspirations for advancement inside the organization. But if you have a whole entire planet that is moving toward financial global governance, one world financial global governance, one world never-ending war.
It's not happening, though. See, this is the thing.
What do you mean it's not happening?
Okay, Russia is not. Okay, no. Listen. Russia is becoming part of the SWIFT system. I get what you're saying. This is the problem.
You're making my point.
No, Russia, you have them breaking off and building their own systems. You have Venezuela. Okay, they are no longer looking to the U.S. They, along with Chile, along with Brazil, are looking towards their own investment banks, building their own systems. So that's not a one world financial system. That's a multi-world financial system. So we're not going to a place where the dollar's dominant. We're going to a place where the dollar is not dominant. We're not. So we're going the exact opposite way that you're think
making
we're
my
going.
Point. Look at these BRIC nations that you're talking about here that are stepping away from the dollar, and they're thumbing their nose at the West. I'm not going to say just the U.S., but at the West in general.
Sure.
And what have we seen? What have we seen? We've seen the absolute assault on the backbone of these countries, and they're all reeling right now. You have Russia that loses 50% of the value of its currency inside of a few months because they're not playing ball in Eastern Europe. Venezuela is absolutely no different. They're going broke because the value of their one and only commodity is going through the floor. I see an absolute play by the current world order that is trying to push these boys into place, keep them in line, and they're doing it. They're doing it, Doug Owen.
Well, I mean, but that it only works for so long. You can only. Well, here's the thing. You have China. They've been providing everything that we need. I mean, you understand that. I understand that China is what you need to get you that toilet paper that you need for all of those farting Venezuelans. That's what you need. Okay, you need oil. They've got oil. Okay, you don't have much of a market, but man, oh man, guess what? That's why they're creating Chinese investment banks. So these countries were all dominated by the U.S. dollar and doing everything that they can, and so that's the battle. It's a multipolar world. It's not a world where the Rockefellers get to decide how the future of the United States is driven anymore, because you just can't. It doesn't work like that because you can't you can't control people at such a small individual level like you used to. I mean, you didn't have global communications. You didn't have an interglobalized world. So in a globalized society, we have more distributed power and more distributed interests that are more and more self-interested and less interested in things like nation states, being proud in your state. I'm a Texan. Why? Because if somebody else drew a line, I'd be in Oklahoma.
I mean, what you're saying is the evaporation of national identity, or in the case you're talking about, state identity. I agree with that 100%. I mean, that is
so.
The push.
That's the point, is that globalization is the opposite of that. That's the old world order trying to grasp on to what's happening.
What did I just say? There's a push for financial global governance.
So in that kind of scenario, though, that's why you have people doing all sorts of things that are in their own interest and not in some guy that sits at the Build-A-Burger table. Like
I don't know about that. I think that you
might have them doing it for themselves because, at the end of the day, there's only so much pie. Everybody wants their piece, and some people want a bigger piece.
I think you can look throughout Europe, right? The largest economy in the world, if you put all the 500 million people together there that make up the European Union, that make up that continent. It is the biggest economy on the planet, and we've seen for half a decade now the complete assault on the individual sovereignty of these nation states, the evaporation of their own voting and ruling and governing for their own future. It is all coming under the guise of a global, in this case, European under Brussels, is coming under the control of fewer and fewer bankers. So the notion that these states will never push back and not have a problem with this kind of takeover, I agree with that. They have a problem with it. The real problem is it doesn't matter. They go in and they evaporate and eviscerate their economy, and then the functionaries put the solution before the people, which is we have to bow down and kiss the ring. And so that's what you see. I mean, I just think
that a lot of the people in the conspiracy movement, or whatever you want to call it,
conspiracy, that's happening.
They believe that there's a small, select power elite, and I mean, we should be talking about them. I mean, there's a huge case going on with Jeffery Epstein, a pedophile that was having sex with 12-year-old children, bragging about it, that knows everybody in Hollywood. That would be the biggest effing story ever. I don't know how it can't be the biggest story. This guy was called a fun time and a great partier by none other than fake crazy hairdo, super rich nutbag. I'm trying to think of his name now. I'm stalling here for his name. What's the rich asshole that has the show? You're fired. What's his name? Trump.
Donald Trump.
This guy is a party animal, loves Donald Trump. So if you think that there is an elite class of people that get together and do really creepy, screwed up things and are habitual abusers of children, you're right. And guess what? The media is involved. I mean, on every level. This is
Prince Andrew's involved.
Prince Andrew,
Royal
the
family's
elite
involved.
Yeah, the media, the elite, Kevin Spacey, George Soros. Let's just talk about Jeffrey Epstein because it's worth going into who he is and what he did. This is from the Business Insider. Some of the most shocking allegations against Epstein, who surfaced only after the conclusion of an FBI probe. Now, and this would be part of my point, is that if he was above the law, we wouldn't be talking about this. And if the elite, if Bill Clinton and the rest of the New World Order, the rest of the power brokers of this globalized world, if that was true, then either one of two things. Either they don't have all the power because that's why this guy is going to jail and he has the ability to burn them all on the way down, or he's done something that is so heinous that he has been ostracized from the elite pedophile ring that go all the way to Bill Clinton. I mean, he had 21 phone numbers for this guy. Right. So anyway, he said that, listen to this. The feds have identified roughly 40 young women, most of them underage at the time, who described being lured by Epstein's Palm Beach home on the pretense of giving a massage for money. then pressured into various sex acts, as well as the quote-unquote Balkan sex slave Epstein allegedly boasted of purchasing from her family when she was 14. More recently, a big cash payment from Mail on Sunday coaxed one of Epstein's main accusers out of anonymity to describe what she claims were her years as a teenage sex toy. The victim, Virginia Roberts, produced a photo of herself with Prince Andrew in 2001 and reported that Epstein paid her over $15,000 to meet the prince at the time. Then 17 years old, she claims that she was abused by Epstein and loaned to his friends from the age of 15. And it goes on at the Daily Beast here.
That was that Virginia Robert. That's a $15,000 underage sex toy. Yeah, sex slave.
Yeah. So, I mean, his ties. He is a super elite rich banker. He was on the Council on Foreign Relations. Guess whose money he was managing? The Rockefeller Fund. So you can't find anybody that, I mean, screams to almost every... I mean, it's almost like every conspiracy meme that you've ever heard. This guy is like part of it. The Council on Foreign Relations, the Federal Reserve. He was a confidant to elite bankers, to Paul Volcker, to intimately knew Alan Greenspan. I mean, he's a who's who of a power broker to the elite, and he was a good time. Lucky for him, his butler door guy. That knew everything. Houseman. That's what we call it. He's the guy who cleaned his sex toys and everything else. He was the one that went and kind of lured the young ladies and
the victims
to have sex, unfortunately, with Bill Clinton and a bunch of other creepy old dudes that probably were all hyped up on Viagra and Coke and So anyway, I mean, the fact that politicians, celebrities, even scientists, financiers, the
royal elite
are having super orgies, if that doesn't garner, I don't know, a little bit of discussion, then I don't know what does these days. But I mean, you would think that the news would be telling you of this story. I mean, salacious gossip, we love it here in what you know what?
And because of his connection with this elite class, right? That obviously, I mean, the people you're naming off here.
I was just giving you a bed music there. Yeah,
the people you're naming off here are the who's who of the Bilderbergers or the CFR. They are the power players. Clinton, 21 email addresses and phone numbers for this guy. And,
hey man, he's a good time. He's a good time.
The fact that he has those kind of connections, and it is this scalding. I mean, you're right. It is more shocking. It is more shocking than 20 dead people in France. That's for damn sure. Years and years of sex slave with these top level politicians and icons of business. That's not a bigger story than a couple of crazy terrorists in France. It absolutely is. But the fact that because of these connections, it is barely. I mean, Doug, no one's talking about this. I mean, it's almost white.
It's kind of a big story in the UK, but not anymore. There's bigger stories
Yeah, sure. We had a French connection pop up that made it just all go away, and
yes.
and Epstein should be on, if he's not on suicide watch, his days are numbered. Before any more damage can be done.
I don't know. I mean, what more could you have? I mean, he's got 21 phone numbers. If that doesn't impress you, I mean, you want a picture of
that's a good point. That's a great point.
Dick Cheney sucking the blood out of a baby. I mean, I don't know what you need before you're like, man, I think this is rigged. I think this is really bad.
So we popped this story out now at the end of 2014, going into 2015. And by the time 2016 elections roll around, Hillary, this will be a thing of the past. It won't even be talked about.
Well, I mean, it pops up every once in a while. This thing started back in 2011 with the trial and Epstein, and I reported on it because I thought it was a big story. We got elite pedophile ring, and this is not exclusive to the U.S. and British power elite, but also the royal family, Hollywood. I mean, Gary Glitter and that other creepy guy that I want to forget every time I see him. The kids show guy from the UK. Oh man, I should know his name, but I try to forget about him. He's got the blonde hair. He was the one that he was necrophiliac having sex at the morgues and only posthumously. Yeah, the big pedophile that was super famous. He knew everybody from Mick Jagger to the royal family too. He's buddies with Gary Glitter. I just have to Gary. The only reason I remember Gary Glitter is because it's such a creepy ass name.
Jim Savile's?
Yeah, Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile. Yeah, that guy. Jimmy Savile. Okay, Savile. Okay.
God, you work it hard to get to a name, Owen.
I know, man, because I forget all these people because I don't want to think about them anymore. You know, I want to.
It's like he's a creep.
Yeah, it's Friday night. I had the fire going. We're just sitting there on the blanket, and I'm like, I got to talk about elite pedophiles
on a cold Texas
night, burning live oaks, Texas live oak.
Texas 32 degrees is colder than anywhere else. 32 degrees.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, maybe.
Let me give you the Bozeman. When I give you Bozeman temperature,
yours is probably ridiculous. So you just believe this? You believe
Central Banker would not be denied.
I do believe that. 16 degrees right now, Fahrenheit. Blam. 87%
do what?
0. That's at Montana cold.
0. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I couldn't deal with that.
No, it's chilly. I'm not going to lie to you.
Chilly, yeah. That's bone chilling. I lived in Chicago, so I know what cold is all about.
And you know what murder is all about if you lived in Chicago.
Because it's happening. I didn't get murdered. Yeah, well, I mean, here's the thing, though. People are like, oh, my God, 30 people a night. But, yeah, I mean, it's a huge city, and there's just, I don't know how much abject poverty you find, but a lot. It was the first place that I'd ever been or ever lived where we, see sky rises of blight with burned out holes in these projects. Yeah. And then you start looking into the history of the projects themselves. And that's what they were. They were projects during the war on poverty. It's a really interesting documentary I saw recently on PBS about that and how the people that were living, basically in, a lot of shanty homes and stuff without plumbing, in the South and, particularly, the segregated Black South, the government, LBJ under his war on poverty, created these projects that ended up being in a lot of cases government labs to test drugs and other things on the Black people unknowingly. Sure. And that, in St. Louis, spraying cadmium on these people, but these are projects, and you don't think about that until you're like, oh yeah, this is the whole plan to bring people together and end poverty and create this better society. And I don't know if we could say it's better or worse, but when you look at it, boy, is it ugly. You're like, man, it looks like it looks like failure when you look at those projects and they're to the sky.
Yeah. I've been there. I mean, I don't mean I've been there, lived there. I've been there and I've seen them.
Right, me too.
And yeah, it's
on a train in fear, holding my wallet,
window rolled up tight.
Yes, butthole tight.
Yeah, Amity Coulibaly is the French girl's name. She'll be dead before the weekend's out. That's my prediction.
Yeah. How come every picture I've seen of her, she looks like she's like whacked out on heroin or some other mind-altering drug? She's probably whacked out on heroin or some other drug. She's kind of hot. She's kind of good looking. I wasn't going to go there, but I was thinking that myself. She doesn't look bad. No, it's ridiculously sad that she's either a pawn or, was duped into. Oh, they're just drugging her. She's a mind slave, obviously. And I you know what? I don't mean that facetiously. I mean that seriously. She's probably drugged, probably only half knows what's going on. Probably has a very low IQ. Epstein's payroll, and then she got a little too old when she turned 18, so she got sold into the female terrorist game. So I think what we should all be preaching is that the gun control, the war on your guns. Okay, when we drop ship guns to ISIS and we take guns away from good law-abiding citizens, you have situations like in France. Gun control doesn't work because obviously if you're a terrorist, you can still get yourself an AK-47 Kalashnikov. And this is another fight, another hidden media attack on Russia, talking about it's a Kalashnikov. And I kept hearing that term over and over again. And my buddy said, what's the deal with the Kalashnikov? And I was like, well, it's an AK-47. He's like, well, why aren't they calling it an AK-47? I was like, because everybody makes AK-47s. The Chinese make the Norenko. You're aware, most
Absolutely.
of the Zoomers. Yeah, there's a lot of different companies and countries that make AK-47s. There's only one country that makes the Kalashnikov, and it's a Russian word. So that's kind of, those are the things that really raise a lot of red flags for me is part of looking at this objectively. The video, I don't think it's a hoax. In my opinion, it looks very legitimate. I do believe that they assassinated these guys. It could be part of an intelligence operation or media campaign. Very, not even just likely, but very plausible. You do have some really, tenuous but interesting connections. MOSSAD men reportedly met with top Arab official in Paris back on the 4th. So just 5 days ago, you had MOSSAD, you had the Central Intelligence Agents having big meetings. Does that mean anything? Not necessarily, because guess what? That's what they do. They have lots of meetings all over the place.
All the time,
But when you put all these together, there are a lot of correlations, and I mean, there's a lot of...
The takeaway from it, as far as I get, is kind of what you alluded to earlier. And there's been reports coming out since then that the new face of terror is going to be easy, soft targets that are, a man, one individual can wreak havoc. One or two people can wreak havoc. And so these soft targets, more numerous in nature, is what the narrative is coming out of this, that's going to be the next phase of
Good. I'll take people on. I don't care. I don't need the government. Obviously, they're not doing a good job. You can have a government official, a cop with you 24 hours a day in France and
still die. Yeah,
And really, I mean, are you going to live in fear and have to have some guy, watching?
Can you imagine if that happened? Can you imagine if that happened in Texas?
What? Everything's bigger here,
Everything's bigger. Everybody's AR is bigger. But if you started having, multiple, if these reports are accurate, and the new face of terror is going to be soft targets and numerous attacks rather than spread out large attacks. Can you imagine in the United States, namely Texas, Montana, these western states, that people would be, one or two of these people would be, they'd be carrying everywhere, open carrying everywhere. And that would end it. I mean, that would end it because, I don't care if you're carrying your Kalashnikov or not. If ever the person's armed, you're probably not going to be successful in killing a bunch of people.
Well, that's the problem with gun control. It's so silly because we give police officers guns and we give them immunity, and they do horrible things a lot of the times to the people. We give people weapons all the time to free themselves in the Middle East. Wink, wink. All of those... arms that we're giving the Iraqi government to stabilize.
You mean the freedom fighters?
Yes, the freedom fighters, the moderates, the soon-to-be patriots, and
those plucky freedom fighters that all they need is a chance and a hand up, and they'll have
an RPG, a weapon. Now, if you had that same weapon that we're dropping off, okay, this is the irony of all of it. One of the, I guess,
the Peshmerga,
the smorgasbord of ideas and things that we've talked about tonight. If you were to drop off those weapons to, I don't know, moderate people that you deemed moderate after a short interview. So what do you guys think about jihad? How's it going over there? You all about the Durka? Yeah. Here's a MPAD or maybe, I don't know, a surface-to-air missile. There you go. Have an RPG. Those are weapons of mass destruction, my friend. If you were to do that, would be game over. I don't think you would ever get out of jail. Now, we do it all the time. Not a big deal. You torture people in your basement, probably going to go to jail if you waterboard your girlfriend. Or God forbid you kick your dog. You probably do more time for that than you will, actually killing a police officer. The reality of it,
Yeah.
People would assassinate you and come to kill you, man. Probably for treating a dog badly. Yeah, I'm glad that there's going to be more soft targets. That means that we're winning the war on terror, and we can get into some street battles. We can get into.
There you go. We can all get individually involved in the war on terror, Doug. We can get some skin in the game. Skin in the game. That's what America needs.
Yeah, I think that's what's wrong with America. We don't have enough people that are vested in the war on ISIS. I mean, that's what's wrong with France. We don't have enough people that. Want to take it to the street. So
that's right.
I want to live in a world where, it's very much like Mad Max or maybe an 80s movie, some dystopic future where we wear chaps and have masks and cool mohawks, and well, I couldn't grow one, but
and Texas would take over the world then.
People, I can't tell you how many succeed bumper stickers I see all the time. People are here, and it's good because people do have that individuality. It might still be kind of like a collectivist nation state ideology, but it's one of independence from central authority in the United States. And so, it's a splinter, if you will. It's just, people
splinter are state.
Well, it gets you, thinking about these radical ideas like, man, maybe I could do that better than the government could do it for me. Maybe I could just do better with that money I'm giving you instead of giving it to you. Maybe I could put it to better use for myself. These radical, crazy ideas. Maybe it'd be better for me to educate my kids than you. Maybe I don't want to take your shots because you just got a backdoor deal from Pfizer. Gets people at least talking about.
So you're telling me the secession movement in Texas is alive and well?
Well, I don't think that the centralized succession movement, right? Like, it's just the spirit of independence. Like, I don't want some guy that's like, I'm now the general of Texas, and he's wearing camouflage and fatigues, and he's got a hat with gold trim on it, telling me that now he's the brigadier general or whatever, or that Rick Perry's our president, or they've decided that Kinky Friedman's the vice president, or Willie Nelson. Even though it sounds cool, like we'll let Ron Paul and Willie Nelson be the president and vice president of Texas. Even that, I think, is kind of a bankrupt philosophy. But so not a real movement, but a movement in the minds of men.
They're more independent. And obviously there's a lot of independent media that is germinated.
You have to be.
Texas.
I mean, it's like living in Canada, where it's super freezing cold. Half of your year is going out and chopping wood. I mean, those mountain men, they don't think about asking the government to help them do whatever it is. Same thing with like a Texas rancher out in the middle of nowhere, just doing your own thing. You rely on yourself and your neighbors, and those are the people that you have to look to when, so you just get that kind of.
You're self-sufficient. You're more self-sufficient, and you have ingenuity to fix your problems that you have. Be it your farm equipment's broke.
You have to, right?
Yeah.
Or you die.
You see that a lot. Or you die, and you see that a lot. Here in Montana, I mean, it's geographically it's huge, and there's not a lot of people. And for decades and decades, if you had a problem, you had to fix it yourself. Minnesota is probably the quintessential example in the United States of a frozen tundra, a frozen wasteland that if you can't take care of yourself, then you're screwed. And there's a lot of great companies that have come out of that region because of that fact. But no, I get it. I mean, in these more rural areas where people have to be independent and self-sufficient in order to survive, it breeds that kind of that mentality, which is a good thing.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and you can't really – I don't think you can really pigeonhole Texans in general because it's such a huge landmass. You go to West Texas, it's totally different. Central Texas, I mean, you go along the coastline. I mean, so you just have so many different demographics, areas, and kind of, industries that are happening here. So when people are saying, well, Texas outmatches Oklahoma 10-1. It's like, well, look how big it is. Okay, look how many people are here. We're attached to an ocean, so there's a lot of things geographically that kind of set it apart. There's not too many states other than maybe California and the West Coast that have deserts and oceans. So I mean, those kind of things. We have a better fishing industry than Arizona. I mean, it's just so
because you're on the Gulf of Mexico,
right? But when you start looking at we're doing so much better than all these other states. All the things that they're claiming, like Rick Perry would claim all of these wonderful things we're doing with the economy. It's like you're taking credit for things
for geography,
for the people that do the work.
Right.
Rather than, your genius government ideas and taxation policies. It's because, I brought all of those Arabs over here to buy the convenience stores and all of those things. It's like, that didn't help the world. It didn't probably hinder it, but, now you go to a convenience store and I don't know, they do a pretty good job. Yeah. They speak
Texas
like five.
certainly isn't a one-trick pony when it comes to, economic diversity in the state. There's a lot of things going for that state.
Right, and it's big. It's huge. That's the other thing. It's like, oh, well, compared to Delaware, they've got, they're making billions more. It's like, yeah, well, Delaware's the size of a county in Texas. That's just,
exactly.
But those are the kind of things that people, you turn on the TV and you hear them quoting as these huge successes and things. And you're like, it's just, you're not putting any kind of scrutiny to any of these things that you're throwing out there. Anyway,
right. It's like saying North Dakota should be a model for the nation because of their massive success, massive financial success that they've experienced over the last several years, and then not telling the story of the Bakken oil reserve and the insane amount of income that was generated and is still being generated, at least for the time being, because of their oil success. It's like Venezuela.
I was about to say, tell me how that's working out in a year or two.
Yeah. How about a few months or two?
Yeah. Tell me how all those bond projects for all of those schools you're going to build because of all those kids that were there coming next year. Tell me how all that works out. Yeah.
And it might be okay. I know your point, and it's valid. It's like Venezuela. You have oil. That's it. Once it's gone, so is your economy. But
could be
North
just,
Dakota.
Don't
North
count.
Dakota is the only state in the union that has a state bank. They're
doing better than Goldman Sachs in return for their Muppets.
Yes, that's right. That's exactly right.
They're doing way better. Yeah, Ellen Brown has been doing a lot on that. And
I love Ellen Brown. I spoke with her.
Oh, really? Why don't you marry her?
I would. I think she's spoken for because she's super rich. Ellen Brown is big time rich.
I bet.
Mega.
You think? Ridiculous redunk money,
well,
why doesn't she get her hair done? I don't get it. Oh, I shouldn't bag on her, but she's got in her blog. She's got like this picture from like 1985 with this huge bouffant hairdo, and
at least she's got hair.
Oh,
unlike you and I.
Ooh, that is painfully true, my friend.
I had to end it. I had to end Ellen bashing right there, so I did.
It hurt my feelings.
I don't want to hurt
Charlie McGrath. If I had feelings, they would have been hurt.
Well, I'm glad you don't. I'm glad you're thick-skinned like me. Before we wrap up, I know that it's really pop culture-y, but I know you're a huge football fan, college football fan. Yeah. And the glorious defeat of Alabama, which occurred, a week or so back. I just want your prediction on Monday because that is Oregon and Ohio State are gonna square off for the championship, and I'm sure you're going to be tuned into that.
Yeah, of course.
What do you think?
Well, without, who knows? Because I think that Oregon definitely has a distinct advantage because they have the best quarterback, and when it comes to football, people, the best quarterback usually rues the day. Usually, that's who wins. So Ohio State impressively beat Alabama with their third string quarterback, which pretty unprecedented. Urban Meyer is a freaking urban legend, and he is a great coach. And you can't ever rule this guy out. If he wins, he'll have won 2 different championships at 2 different schools. And that's, you're among the few. You're among the other ones like Nick Saban, which I saw him today. While they're firebombing flashbanging the people in Paris.
In France?
Yes. I was looking between that and Nick Saban and his colored hair announcing the running backs going to, and a couple other guys, they're going to the draft. And it's like, I don't know. Do I want to watch a false flag terror event or look at this guy and his
false hair event?
False hair. I would have a full hair of if I had as much money as he had. I would have.
If you're pulling in $4 million, $5 million a year, you'd have a big bouffant like Ellen Brown.
I love it. You bring it back full circle. That's why I do this thing with you.
You know, and I'm going to say Ohio State. You know, the whole third string quarterback deal. I mean, yeah, he was deep. I guess in the depth chart, talent chart, but that Cordell Jones, that's who the quarterback is for Ohio State. He lit him up. I mean, he was just. I thought he looked fantastic.
Well, I mean, it's because
he doesn't look like a third stringer for
it's
you know
the brilliance of the coaching and the offensive play. It's putting your quarterback or anybody in a position to always succeed, so that way you can build their confidence. I mean, that's the biggest thing about college or any kind of sport, or I think in general competition, is feeling confident and feeling visualizing those kind of things happening, and so. You got to put your guy in the best position in anything, especially in football. And if you do that, if you make those catches very catchable and very easy, if you make it so that they can have success, then they buy into it. And that's what.
And he's a beast animal that can throw the ball 85 yards.
Yeah, I mean these guys aren't. They're big talent. They're not. They're not scrubs by any stretch of the imagination. So
all right, with college,
so with all of that, I think I'm leading the Ducks. I'm going to go with Oregon.
All right, let's put a bet on it. I'll take Ohio.
But the funny thing, who's the coach of Oregon? Nobody knows. Okay, the guy is playing for the national championship. Nobody knows. Everybody knows Nick Saban. Okay, he's not there. They know Urban Meyer. They know Jimbo Fisher. All of these other names. Yeah,
they don't know Mark Helfrich.
Yeah, well, he's the guy. He's the guy that came in after Chip Kelly
that
left for the Eagles. That's the deal. All right, so all of our international listeners are hung up, or they've decided to.
We'll talk football next week. We'll talk, soccer, football. We'll talk European football next week.
Yeah.
Talk about Manchester United or something like that.
Manchester United.
I'm going to take Ohio State just so we can have something to bet on.
Okay.
And we'll wager something. What? One nice silver round.
Ooh, maybe? Yeah. You want to go silver on it? Silver round?
Let's
okay.
do silver.
Let's do that.
Silver.
Oh, yeah. Might as well.
We'll do straight up. No points or nothing like that. Win or lose.
Cool. We have Brian who says, Happy New Year, Charlie and Doug. Wishing both of you and the rest of the Doomers the best in 2015. We wish you the best in 2015 as well, Brian. $20.15. We had Marie who came in with $15.15. No comment.
I like that. $15.15.
$15.15. Clever. Yeah. So we're here at 2015. We got, of course, this is 2015, $20.15. And you know what? Pretty sadly, I didn't really realize that until you said it. I looked at it. I'm like, oh, it's 2015.
It is.
So I think we got 2 other donations, and I should have noted them. We keep talking about switching those buttons out. I'm going to actually do some stuff to the website. I've been inundated with some of the other things. So
with baby stuff,
and just trying to keep the world going, keep the news turning. Yeah,
I appreciate everybody who's participating in the Doomcast by donating to the cause. It's very nice of you. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the only thing I look forward to doing, really, quite frankly, as far as media stuff. I mean, even the news aggregation. I like reading news. I like being informed. Knowledge is power, but this is the only thing that I really, really look forward to doing. I do enjoy doing the monologue, doing the my podcast. I'm sure you enjoy doing your show, but I think one of the great things that we've been able to accomplish with this is that, I think we've reached out at a much more personal level to a lot of our other longtime listeners. Yeah. And
I do too. And it's certainly probably the most consistent thing, even though, I've been doing Rinse for a long time, but this has just been very, very constant, 74 episodes now, without a break in it. So, and I want to thank Craig, and this is what I want, Craig. I want you to figure out, and probably Doug can help with this because he's a computer guy. The images that Craig sends us almost on a daily basis.
Yeah, the
gun loving, the gun porn.
Right,
Craig, we got to get it. So I wish there was a way. As soon as he sent it to us, it could tweet out or get posted on Doomcast.com because it's just I don't know where he finds this stuff, but it's almost every day, and it's always a little bit risque, but in good taste. And I think the audience would enjoy producer Craig's love of gun porn.
Only our 40 demographic male viewers would probably appreciate those things.
Yeah, the chicks would like it too.
Maybe some of them.
Yeah.
I think you can appreciate the fact that, you know, you can use sex to sell anything, and armaments and weaponry are no different.
Yeah, they make a nice accessory in some cases.
Yeah, you know, it's. Have you ever seen some of these fishing, you know, promos, and you go into like Cabela's or one of these big sporting goods stores, and you just see all the, or beer is a great example too. All the Budweiser chicks. He's finding like the Smith and Wesson and the Glock chicks. That I didn't know existed.
I didn't either. You know, and like I said, if it had just been one or two, you'd think, oh, you know, kind of a fluke thing. But there must be a steady supply of them because Craig finds them.
He's on a bunch of pro-gun, you know, or I wouldn't say gun enthusiast forums. He got to be. Yeah. Got to be.
Yeah.
We're following a lot of people that are, you know, he's in the know. I mean, he actually lobbied against and tried to fight the socialist takeover of gun control laws in Seattle and
in Washington. I know he did.
Or Washington. Yeah. So he's on top of it, and he is invaluable to the show. So
that's right. And post, you know, that is all very true. Still, figure out a way to get your gun porn out there for everybody to check out.
Oh, see, he knows how to do it. I mean, he could just post it on the website. So now you're gonna get a lot of gun porn.
That's right. That's fine.
All right.
It's tasteful gun porn. He's never sent anything that was like
we talk
shocking.
About art and culture here on this show, and gun porn should be I think highlighted, enjoyed, and cherished, appreciated.
Yeah, photography is really good too.
Photography, yeah. There's some pretty funny ones in there too. There's a lot of good comedy.
Indeed, there is, Doug Owen. You gonna wrap it up? You want me to wrap it up?
You, man, always you.
Always me. All right. Well, this brings us to the end of Doomcast number 74. My name is Charlie McGrath. My website's wideawakenews.com. Co-founder, co-host, Doug Owen, blacklistednews.com. If you want to reach out to me, info@wideawakenews.com. We promise we're going to get a consolidated email address at one point. If you want to reach out to Doug@blacklistednews.com. Doomcast.com is our website. Doug, what else? Twitter, blah, 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 blah. Call-in number.
Blah, 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 blah. The voicemail, 512-222-3067. More of it online. You can follow the Twitter handle, although we don't do much with it. Doomcast Show as well. Of course, Doomcast.com, the hub.
Peace out, y'all. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Go Ohio. Go Ohio.
No, come
Ohio.
on.